Komasila was disturbing the activities of the British during their stay in the Gambia. The British forced him to stop, but for they continue to wear his jihad by disturbing the activities of the British in the Gambia. Not disturbing only the British, but also killing many people by forcefully converting people to accept Islam. The British decided to join an alliance with the Indians, that is called the West Indian Regiment. We are going to discuss a topic called the Soninke Marabout War. Who are the Soninkes and also who are the Marabouts? The Soninkes, these were the non-believers or the pagans. So the Marabout, these were the Muslims or the Islamic scholars who serve as traders and also teachers and as well as clerks to their rulers. The Soninke Marabout started in 1850 between the village of Sabiji and Gunju. And the king of Sabiji at that time was called Solinjata. The Muslim leaders at that time was called Fuladu. So when this war started, the British authorities in Banjul, they refused to intervene at that time. We are compelled to intervene because they do not want the war to spill over British Congo. So when they intervened, they asked Solinjata to give them his uncontrollable territories. So on the 24th of May, 1853, the British authorities and Solinjata, they signed an agreement that handed over Sabiji to the British authorities. So the Marabouts, they were not compliant with that. They still continued to wage war. They attacked Busumbala, which was the headquarters of the Soninkes. Then Solinjata was killed in 1855. They also attacked Fonyi. They attacked Manduar, and they destroyed many towns and villages. They also destroyed many idols and shrines. But the British did not want the matter to spill over British Combos. They asked the Marabout to stop the war. But still now, Fode Komosila and his people, they insisted they were attacking different villages in the West Coast region. In 1855, the British authorities, they called upon the Marabouts to come out and they signed an agreement that leads to the end of the Soninke Marabout War in the village of Sabiji and Gunjur in 1855. The reason for the Soninke Marabout War, or the causes for the Soninke Marabout War: one, the Marabouts were excluded from any political activities of the state. The Soninkes were the ruling clan. They were enjoying much of the wealth of the society. So the Marabouts were excluded from any political activities of the state, which angered the Marabout. They decided to wage war against the Soninkes. Two, the society was highly stratified with the Soninke clan, enjoying much of the wealth, while the Marabouts were not enjoying much of the wealth of the society. So which also angered the Marabout. They decided to wage war against the Soninkes. And three, the Soninkes imposed heavy tax on the Marabouts, because the Marabouts were not allowed to own any piece of land in the country. So the Soninkes were very powerful at that time. They imposed huge amount of tax on the Marabouts, and which the Marabouts were very dissatisfied. They decided to wage war against the Soninkes, which also a contributing factor that led to Soninke Marabout. The Marabouts also want to convert the Soninkes into Islam, which contributed greatly to the Soninke Marabout of 1850. These are some of the causes that leads to the Soninke Marabout War in the Gambia in 1850. The jihadist leaders or the Marabout leaders who took part in the Soninke Marabout War in the Gambia. One, there is a jihadist called Maba Jahoba. Maba was born to a Marabout family in 1809 in a village called Badibo. When he grew up, he traveled in the Senegal region in order to search for education and also to teach people about the Quran. He was compelled to come back home when he realized that his father died. He was warmly welcomed by the king of Badibu called Jerewa Marong. He allowed Mama to establish a school called Kermaba. During this time, the British were trading in Badibu. Now at some point, they realized huge amount of loss during their trade. They asked the king of Badibu called Jerewa Marong to compensate them with some cattle. Jerewa Marong refused to compensate the British due to their loss. Then the British government at that time threatened to wage war against Jerewa Marong in Badibu. A night before the attack, Maba ran to the British and he appealed them to spare this village called Kermaba. When the king of Badibu called Jerewa Marong, when he realized Maba's act, then he felt betrayed. Then he decided to eliminate Maba in the service of his art. When he compensated the British by giving them some cattle, he also planned to eliminate Maba, because Maba decided to go to the British and appeal for him to spare, or for them to spare his village called Kermaba. Now, when the Maba also realized the plan of Jerewa Marong, he wasted no time. He attacked Jerewa Marong in his hometown and executed Jerewa Marong. Then Maba did not stop there. He continued to wage war in the North Bank region. He attacked Madibu, he also attacked Jokado, he attacked Nyomi and extended his empire. Mama Jihad contributed to the loss of many lives and also properties. The British authorities asked Mama to stop his jihad, but Mama refused to stop his jihad. He still continued to wage his jihad. The British formed an alliance. They formed an alliance with the French and attacked Mama. But Mama still continued to defeat the British as well as the French. Then Mama also, he continued to wage jihad in Albreda. He destroyed many towns and villages. The British now decided to form a strong alliance with the French. They attacked Maba in the Battle of Somme, and Mama was killed in 1867 in a battle called Somme. This marked the reigns of Mama Jihads in the Gambia. So Mama, he was attacked by the British as well as the French in the Battle of Somme, and Mama was executed in the service of this art in 1867. This marked the reigns of Mama Jihads in the Gambia. This is the brief history of Mama's jihad in the Gambia. The jihad of Fode Kabadumia. Fode Kabadumia was born in a prominent Muslim family. He was very pious and he was determined to see Islam practiced in a right and proper manner. That desire motivated him to join the forces of Mama. He stayed in Badibu even after the death of Mama, when he was still in Badibu. He was only compelled to go back home when he learned that his father was executed by Alfa Molloh. When he returned back home, he stayed between Jara and Kiang. And he also waged war in Fonis. He attacked Jara, he also attacked Kiang. He destroyed many towns and villages. He executed many people. He forcefully converted people such as the Jolans to accept Islam. So Fode Kabadume's activity contributed greatly to the Sankandi incident of 1899. Sankandi incident, this was an incident that transpired between the British and the people of Sankandi in 1899. There was a piece of land that lies between Sankandi and Jataba. The Soninkes claim that they are the true owner of this piece of land. Likewise, the Marabout also claimed to be the true owner of this piece of land. When the matter was referred to the traveling commissioner called Sidwell, who was responsible for the south bank of the river Gambia, or south bank of the Gambia, then Sidwell invited these two parties to a meeting in Batalin. Batalin was a village just 15 kilometers away from Sankandi. Then the Soninkes responded to the meeting, while the Marabout refused to attend the meeting. Then Sidwell and his people prepared to visit the Marabouts in Sankandi to know why they refused to attend the meeting. So he was accompanied by his friend called Silva, who was in charge of the North Bank region of the Gambia. He was also accompanied by the 6 British police officials as well as the King of Batalin. Upon their arrival in Sankandi, they invited the King of Sankandi called Bori Banadawa to come out for a meeting. So this king demanded that the meeting should be held at the meeting place called Bantaba. So Sidwell responded, while the king also demanded. So Sidwell was very angry. He ordered the arrest of the king. To add insult to an injury, he also ordered the dismissal of Sidwell dismissed the king of Sankandi and appointed the king of Batalin to be the king of Sankandi. So the king of Sankandi called Bori Banada was very angry. He shouted for help to his village folks. They came readily with their arms and ammunition, and they shoot to this British official and executed all of them. Silva was killed in the Sankandi incident. Sidwell was killed in the Sankandi incident. The 6 British officials were killed in the Sankandi incident, as well as the king of Batalin called Bori Banada. The king of Batalin was also executed in the Sankandi incident. So the British also they reacted greatly to the Sankandi incident, because Bori Banada was behind the Sankandi incident. Now after the Sankandi incident, the British official in Banjul, they went to Sankandi. They arrest the alcalos and also the chiefs of Sankandi and imprisoned them in the prisons. Some of the people of Sankandi died in the prison due to their misconduct that leads to the death of many British officials in Sankandi. Now the British wanted to put the activities of Fode Kabadume to an end. They asked him to engage in agriculture. Then Fode Kaba refused. He still continued to attack different towns and villages. Now, because of Fode Kabadume executed some officials in Segu, then the British now decided to join an alliance with the French, likewise with Musa Molloh. So they launched an attack in 1901 in his hometown called Medina. Then Fode Kabadume was killed by the British officers as well as the French, and also by Musa Molloh's forces. Fode Kabadume was attacked in his hometown in Montana. He had no route to escape. Then he was gone down to his hometown called Medina in 1901. So this marked the reigns of the end of Fode Kabadumeas on the history of the Gambia. So this is just a brief history about the history of Fode Kabadume in the Gambia. History of Fode Komosila. Fode Komosila was another prominent Marabout who participated greatly in the Soninke Marabout of 1850. Fode Komosila was born in Gunjur in 1830. He was also brought up in a very prominent and pious family. He learned under his father Quranic education. Fode also went to Casamas for the teaching and learning of Quran, and when he graduated, he was asked to come back home and establish a Quranic school in Gunjur. Then Fode Komosila came to the limelight of history after the death of his uncle. His uncle was also a Marabout, a jihadist in the Gambia. When his uncle died in 1876, then Fode Komosila was asked to continue the jihad of his uncle. Now Fode also, he mobilized a soldiers or army, decided to wage war. They attacked Busumbala, they attacked Brikama, they also attacked Manduar and also Fojis. They destroyed many towns and villages. They were able to convert many people into Islam. Then the British asked Fode Komosila to stop his jihad. Then Fode Komosila continued to wear his jihad by destroying many towns and villages and also affecting the activities of the British during their stays in the Gambia. Now Fode Komosila was disturbing the activities of the British during their stay in the Gambia. The British forced him to stop, but Fode continued to wear his jihad by disturbing the activities of the British in the Gambia. Not disturbing only the British, but also killing many people by forcefully converting people to accept Islam. The British decided to join an alliance with the Indians, that is called the West Indian Regiments. They attacked Fode Komosila, but Fode forces were able to defeat the British as well as the West Indian Regiment. In 1894, the British as well as the French, they launched an attack. And at this time, the forces of Fode Komosila were defeated. Fode fled to Casamas, and the French were able to drive him out in Casamas. Then in Senegal, he was captured and sent to Saint Louis in exile. Then Fode Komosila came in the Gambia old and feeble, and he died in 1894. So this marks the reign of Fode Komosila in the Gambian history. This was Fode Komosila for you. He was born in Gunjur in the 1830. He learned Quran under his father. And when he graduated, he also went to Casamas to further his education under the school called Fode Ibrahima. He was asked to continue the jihad of his uncle. This was how Fode Komosila came into the limelight of the Gambian history. Then when he came into the limelight of Gambian history, he formed an army and started to wage war in different areas such as Busumbala. And in Busumbala, they attacked the king of Busumbala called Tumani Bojang. And he fled to Lamen. They followed him into Lamen and they saved his head. Then the British authorities asked him to stop, but still Fode was insisting he continued to wage his war. Then the British, they formed an alliance with the West Indian Regiment. The first attack, the Fode Komosila forces were able to defeat the British as well as the West Indian Regiment. But the second attack, the British, they came readily and attacked Fode Komosila. But his forces were defeated and Fode fled to Fonyi. He was drove out by the Jolas and he went to Casamas. He was captured by the French, sent to exile in Saint Louis. And he returned back feeble and old and he died in the Gambia. This was Fode Komosila for you. This is just the brief history, for Fode Komosila. Alfa Molloh. Alfa Molloh was sometimes referred to as Molloh Ige Balde. It was the Almame of Futa Toro who gave him the title called Alfa, which means the first ruler of Fuladu Empire. Alfa Molloh was an elephant hunter as well as a warrior. He led the Fulas against Mama Janke Walisane. When Janke Walisane was wiped out on the surface of this earth, Alfa Molloh continued to attack different Mandinka states and add it to his own state. And finally, in 1874, the Fuladu Empire was established. And Alfa Molloh died in 1874 in a place called Dan. When Alfa Molloh died in 1874, his brother called Bakari Dema succeeded him instead of Musa Molloh, his son. Musa Molloh was very disappointed, but still he allowed his uncle called Bakari Dema to rule Fuladu Empire. When Bakari Dema was the ruler of Fuladu Empire, he deviated from Musa Molloh, from Alfa Molloh's policy, by returning back to the state of animism, which was the worshipping of trees and animals. Bakari Dema also decided to drive away some of the Marabouts who were brought in by Alfa Molloh. Musa Molloh and his brother and his uncle called Bakari Dema, they did not see eye to eye on the governance of Fuladu Empire. When Musa Molloh defeated Alfa Mboku from Kolda, then he started to raise his forces, his soldiers. Then he attacked his uncle called Bakari Demba. Bakari Demba ran to Korob, and Musa Molloh allowed him to come and settle peacefully. Then when he came, Musa Molloh asked his soldiers or his forces to go and eliminate him or to wipe him out on the earth's surface. Then his soldiers went and executed his uncle called Jamba. So Musa Molloh became the sole ruler of Fuladu Empire until when he was captured by the French and sent to exile in Senegal. So when he returned back old and feeble and he died, then he was succeeded by his son called Chernobani. This was Musa Molloh for you. When Alfa Molloh died, his brother called Jamba succeeded instead of Musa Molloh. Musa Molloh allowed Jamba to rule the Fuladu Empire. But Jamba was deviating from Alfa Mollah's policy by returning back to the state of animism, which was the worshipping of trees and animals. Jamba also decided to drove away some of the Marabouts who were brought in by Alfa Molloh. Musa Molloh and Jamba, his uncle, did not see eye to eye on the governance of Fuladu Empire. When a rebellion rose up or rose out from Alfa Molloh of Kolda, then Musa Molloh formed his soldiers and went and attacked Alfa Molloh and executed him. This was the time Musa Molloh became very powerful. He attacked his brother in Koro. His brother escaped to Nyani. Then he allowed him to come and settle quietly. When he came, he was executed by Musa Molloh's forces. This was how Musa Molloh became the sole ruler of Fuladu Empire until when he was captured by the French and taken to exile. Then he was allowed to come back when he was old and he died. Then he was succeeded by his son called Chernobani. This was Musa Molloh for you. This is just the brief history of Musa Molloh. Now, Musa Molloh foreign policy. When Musa Molloh became the ruler of Fuladu Empire, he became friend to both the British and the French in order to aggrandize himself in power. Musa Molloh gave the southern part of Fuladu to the French so that for them to govern that entire territory. Then Musa Molloh became friends with both the British and the French in order for him to stay in power for a long period of time. He also established a large army that will enable him to stay in power for a long period of time. Musa Molloh also too, when the French realized Musa Molloh was amazing with weapons. When they also realized that Musa Molloh was killing slaves, he was also selling or killing his wife. The French also realized that Musa Molloh at the same time was dealing with the British. They decided to come to the capital of Fuladu called Hamdallah and establish their quarters there. Then the French also decided to stop Musa Molloh from visiting them with his convoy. When Musa Molloh learned the activities of the French, he also decided to move to the Gambian part of Fuladu and settle in a town called Kasakunda near Joy Town. During his stay in Joy Town, he was also amazing with weapons. He was also killing slaves as well as his wives. Then the British authority decided to invite him for a meeting in Banjul, that is Batos. When Musa Molloh came for that meeting, he was captured in Batos, sent to Sierra Leone for exile. Then he was only allowed to come back when he was old and feeble. Then he died and he was succeeded by his son called Chernobani. This was Musa Molloh's foreign policy. When he became the sole ruler of the Fuladu Empire, he established friendly relationship with both the French as well as the British in order to stay for a long period of time. He also established a large army that will enable him to stay in power for a long period of time. He gave the southern part of Fuladu to the British, so the French, for them to control. But when the French realized he's dealing with the British and also his misusement of weapons and also killing slaves, they decided to move to the capital of Fuladu called Hamdallah and establish their headquarters. But when Musa Molloh realized the plan of the French, he moved to the Gambian part of Fuladu and settled in a town called Kasakunda near Joy Town. Now in Kasakunda, Musa Molloh still did not stop his activities. He was misusing slaves, misusing weapons. He was also maltreating slaves and killing some of his wives. This was the time when the British invited him for a meeting in Batos. Then when he came, he was captured and sent to exile in Sierra Leone. He returned back old and feeble, then he died in the Gambia. He was succeeded by his son called Chernobani. So this marked the end, the reigns or the end of the reigns of Musa Molloh. This marked the reigns of Musa Molloh in the Gambian history. So this is Musa Molloh for you. The effects or the outcome or the impact of the Soninke Marabout War. One, Soninke Marabout War led to the loss of lives and properties. Many people, example, the farmers, were killed during the Soninke Marabout War. For the Kabadume was killing people who refused to accept Islam, which contributed immensely to the loss of lives and properties. Two, It leads to the decline of trade and agriculture. Most of the people who were killed during this war, they were just farmers who were engaged in the buying and selling of goods and service, and who were also engaged in the cultivation of crops and rearings of animals. Most of them were executed, and also most of them were injured. 3. It leads to the decline of our indigenous industries. Indigenous industries were industries that were in existence before the coming of the Europeans. For example, the salt industries, the carving, the mining, as well as the iron industries. Those Gambians who were engaged in these industries were executed. 3. It leads to the conversion of many people into Islam. Many people accept Islam against their own will because Fode Kabadume was forcefully converting people into Islam. 4. It also led to the displacement of many people. Because when this war broke out, many people migrated. They leave their home in order to settle in a place where they were able to have peace. And 5, it also led to the decolonization. It speaks the rate of colonization in the Gambia. Because the war brought in by Fode Kabadume, it affected the British activities. That's why when Fode Kabadume was executed in 1901, the British wasted no time. They decided to colonize the Gambia so far.